This is going to be a new and interesting journey for me, and I wanted to make sure I was documenting it from the beginning. So here we are, day one of me finding out that by the end of this year, I am not going to have an agent anymore. I woke up to an email from my agent asking if we could have a phone call. And that's the kind of thing that, like, I think no matter how long you've had an agent, it kind of like stirs up a bunch of excitement / anxiety. Fortunately for me, she said she would be able to talk at 8:30 my time, so I can talk to her before camp, so that way whatever she wants to talk about is not going to be like on my mind and distracting me while I teach, because we don't want that. Hello? Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm really glad I had a class to teach after that phone call, because it was a distraction and I had a whole lot of emotions, and maybe it was nice to just be able to like put it aside and focus on my students for a couple of hours. And now I'm trying to process it. Okay, so she wanted to tell me that she is retiring at the end of this year. I do not know where to start. It's funny, I watched that footage today for the first time since I filmed it and realized I'm wearing the same shirt. So there was a lot more that I said in that video. I rambled on for like a good 15 minutes, and I think probably at some point I will make a video where I share more of that, but that was the gist of it. That was the news that I got that day. And the reason my agent kind of asked me to keep it all under my hat for a while is because she wanted to call each of her clients individually and break the news to them herself. And you know, publishing is word travels fast, so she didn't want anybody to hear it from someone other than her. And that process took a while because she has, I think, well over 100 clients. She also mentioned that she's not going to do some sort of big announcement about it. So there was never, I didn't have like a date in mind where I knew I could share this news. I was just kind of like hanging back and waiting to see when it would feel appropriate for me to start talking about it. And in the last week or so, I have noticed like half a dozen or more of her more prominent clients post announcements that they've signed with new agents. So I think the cat is pretty well and truly out of the bag now. So the reason I feel like I need to vlog about this today is because I had originally intended for today's vlog to be something else completely. I had this, what felt like a really great idea for a vlog yesterday, an approach that I wanted to try with my flow state day as I worked on nil, and I started vlogging this morning. I got a whole bunch of footage. I was like genuinely excited and ready to go, and I did do some work on it. And then in the afternoon, not even the afternoon, this was at like 10 in the morning, oh man, I sat down to write you guys and something weird happened. I started to feel this pressure both in my chest and in my head, like that feeling when like tears are welling up and you just get that heat. And it was kind of like a panicked feeling, and I wrote, I didn't even look at it, but I kind of managed to write a couple pages, and then I just could not write. And I very quickly spiraled into this kind of black hole that, if I'm being perfectly honest, has been in my mind for quite a long time now. And I have been doing my best to pretend that I have left it behind, but I have not. And this is something that I've been dealing with since well before I started this channel. And that is the nagging suspicion that I'm not going to publish any more original novels, that I kind of took my shot at that, and it is what it is. And my career from here on out is going to be continuing to do IP work and ghostwriting. And first of all, I just want to say that there's nothing wrong with that. I love doing IP work. I love ghostwriting. I'm working on some really cool projects right now, and I am so grateful to have a job that I love, that I can pay my bills with, and that gives me this kind of autonomy. So I don't want to sound ungrateful at all. But I really, it's been since 2017 since I've sold a book that is just mine, and I really wanted to try to make that happen this year. And when I got the news about my agent, it was like, oh, okay, so this fall isn't about going on submission. This fall is about finding a new literary agent. And you know, I had, like I said, a lot of emotions about it, but part of me was excited about the prospect of querying again. I genuinely enjoyed it the first time I did it. I'm not saying I didn't get really frustrated. I did have one book that I queried for a year that I had to give up on. It never, you know, ultimately got me an agent. It was my second book that did, so it was frustrating. But I don't know, I like the process of querying, and I like the process of being on submission. It's very exciting. And part of me was really looking forward to it. And I was just really ignoring the fact that I wasn't really allowing myself to confront the fact that there's no two ways about it. This is a setback. This is a really big setback for me. And I, right after I got the news, a couple days after that, I had a consultation call with a book coaching client, and I told him about it. And he was like, so do you think, you know, you have such a backlist. I mean, you think it'll be like really easy for you to find an agent? And I was like, no. Like when I look at the clients, that are at my agency who have found new agents already, they are by every mark and measure more successful than I am. And that's why they've gotten agents. They have an impressive backlist that includes, you know, moving a good number of copies and or winning some prestigious awards. I don't have that. So, you know, we've talked about this plenty, that publishers and acquisitions teams would much rather take a chance on a debut with no track record than a mid-list author with, you know, what they would deem to be a failure of a track record. And I can't help but think that a lot of literary agents would take that in consideration and feel the same way. And so my backlist might be very much more a burden and like a hindrance to me than a bonus. So I don't know. I've talked to some friends about it and thought, and you know, have had it pointed out to me, and I think this is legit, that in a lot of ways I have a lot of advantages over where I was, you know, back when I was first querying. I can do things like look at my author friends and their agents, and if I think their agent is a good fit, I can ask for referrals. That can certainly help. I don't think that would make an agent who wouldn't otherwise offer to represent me. But it does mean maybe I can cut in the queue a little bit, you know, and have an agent read my work a little bit faster. I have some advantages here, but I was ignoring that black hole, and then this news just made it slowly start to expand, and I think today it just finally kind of overtook me. I can't say that I was like entirely shocked by this news, but like the full impact or meaning of it has kind of hit me slowly. And I know, you know, authors and agents part ways all the time. Like this is totally commonplace, but for me, I mean, it's just been so long, guys. I signed with her in April of 2010. 2010. A young, idealistic Barack Obama was just starting his second year as president of the United States. Keisha had just released her first solo single, TikTok, which had nothing to do with the social media app. The world was just a few months away from the premiere of a new show called Downton Abbey. It was a long ass time ago, is what I'm saying. And like, I don't know, yeah, it's just over a decade of having this advocate for my work. I wouldn't have a career without her. And I know that's like, duh, she sold your books, but I mean like a ghostwriting career. She got me my first IP projects. She was like constantly looking, like actively looking for work for me when we were struggling to sell my own books. And even after that, she was always sending me so many things to audition for. And if I hadn't done all that, I wouldn't have launched my ghostwriting career. I would have a completely different job right now if it wasn't for her. Like I said, I'm gonna have to make a like some sort of tribute video or something to her later. So I think what happened today is that, oh, I forgot to mention, this was all hours before my Readsy webinar, which was on how to start writing a book. Okay, a little bit of a story time here. Back when The Pros of Cons came out, my co-authors Lindsay and Allison and I, we got to go to Dragon Con in Atlanta and be on a couple of panels, and it was awesome. It was so much fun. And but I have to admit, I was kind of not in a good place career-wise. This was the beginning of the black hole, because that was in August of 2018. Yeah, August of 2018, and I had written that Coney Island book, but I couldn't get it to work, so that really devastated me. I did an audition for an IP project with an editor that I know, that I'm friends with, and that, I mean, we both thought it was a sure thing, and it didn't get past acquisitions. I auditioned for another IP project at an imprint that I had done like 4 projects with at that point, and I got passed over for someone else. And there was a third rejection. And that was when I got the news from my editor at Random House, who edited Olive and the Backstage Ghost and Spell and Spindle, that Acquisitions wasn't interested in looking at a book from me for my option. Like, they didn't even want to see it. Oh, no, and there was another one. The Secrets of Topsy series. We wanted that to be like a series, as in, 3, 4, 5 books. And it was with Hyperion at the time. This was before Hyperion dumped all their books on Little Brown. That's a whole other story. But yeah, they were like, the sales aren't good enough, pass. So 4 friggin' rejections, and all of that pretty much happened May, June, July, August of 2018. It was so much all at once. And I am not saying I was like counting on every single one of those things to come through for me, but I was not expecting all of them to fall through. And it felt like that was when I started to get the feeling of, oh, I had my shot. That was my short-lived author career, and now it's over. And I was kind of like carrying that in Dragon Con. And one of the panels I was on, and I don't know why I was chosen for this panel. The panel was called Author as a Brand. It was about branding. You guys know how I feel about branding. I hate branding. I hate talking about branding, but I had to be on this channel. I had to be on this panel, and I don't have a brand. And at the time, I also felt like I didn't have a career. And this was how I ended up in the bathroom in the convention center, sobbing like 30 minutes before the panel started. That was what today felt like. The great thing was I, cleaned myself up. I got on the panel. We ended up actually having a great discussion, because it turned out of the 5 of us on that panel, all of us hated branding except one. So it turned out to be like an anti-branding panel, and I had a great time. Whew. But man, I will never forget what that felt like. I felt like a fraud. And I won't lie, I felt a little bit like this morning. I was having this horrible reaction to just the act of writing my own book, and I was about to do a webinar about how to start writing a book. I can't even call it imposter syndrome, because the thing is, I've written books, lots of them. I've published lots of books. I know I'm not an imposter, but I guess the black hole fear that's overtaking me is that the more time passes between me publishing my own original novel and the present, the less qualified, the less real of an author I will be. I don't know. It's even hard for me to put it into words, but it's a fear nonetheless. And, you know, just as with that panel at Dragon Con, what happened with the webinar, I mean, as soon as it began I felt really happy and excited to be talking about writing. I always do. It was great. I had a wonderful time. There were so many amazing comments in the chat, and by the way, thank you to all of you who showed up for it. That was so great. And I feel like I offered some really good advice, and if I'm being totally honest with you, when I was saying a lot of it, I was talking to myself. I was thinking, Michelle, you need to drink your own Kool-Aid. You need to take your own medicine. What would you tell an author who was feeling like this right now? What advice would you give to yourself if you were one of your clients who felt this way? And I would give myself a wake-up call and tell myself, no, it is absolutely ridiculous to think that your career is over and that your backlist is a total curse. That doesn't mean that like finding an agent is going to be easy. That doesn't mean getting a book deal is going to be easy. But that's not like the problem here. It's something else that's going on. And I think what it is that I have talked so many times. I talked about this back with Dragon Balloon at the beginning of the year, and I talked about this over the summer, that I really wanted to go on submission this fall. I gave myself this arbitrary deadline, and it was getting closer and closer, and then this whole agent thing happened, and it's like, I can see now that every time I sat down to work on Nil, I was thinking about, in the back of my head at least, about querying and about how long of a road I have to go even after this book is written and edited. And what are my odds of finding an agent, like having an agent want to sign this book? And even then, once I sign with them, what are the odds that it's actually going to sell? And putting just so much pressure on myself. And don't forget, with Nil specifically, this is me trying to like take all of those drafts of those books that I loved in that world that I loved from the past that didn't sell and therefore have all of those negative emotions attached to them, and turn it into something that works. And it was making me panic because I could feel that failure happening again. And now, well, I'll tell you what I did. Before the webinar started, I closed Save the Cat, and I closed all of those documents, and I'm not gonna open them up again today. I need to take a break, because the honest truth is I very much do believe in that book. I can see the final version of it that I want it to be, and I think there's a lot in there that's really cool and exciting and unique. And yeah, it's something I can imagine that would be on a bookshelf. I think it's a sellable premise or idea, and you know, honestly, I do have confidence in my writing chops. It's not even that. But right now, all of those black hole negative emotions are attached to that book. And I'm gonna have to figure out a way to separate them. I really, really need to accept the fact that, one, there's a very good chance I will not start querying this fall because I might not have anything to query. And two, that's okay, because I have been rushing. And I feel kind of, this is part of what's making me feel like a fraud, because I'm always talking about write your idea fast before you lose the spark. And I really do believe that. I do believe it's important for writers who feel like that electric excitement about an idea to write it as fast as they can, whatever fast is for them, before they lose that momentum. Because I've had that happen with books before, and it's sad. But I was pushing myself too hard, and as excited as I was writing fast because I thought it was necessary. I felt it was like racing against the clock, because oh my God, if I can't query this and get an agent this fall, then time is going to run out and I'm going to enter 2022 not only without another novel sold, but without an agent. And that was just like, I couldn't even like consider that possibility. And I have to consider that possibility, and I have to acknowledge the fact that it's okay if that happens. What I want is to just actually enjoy writing my own fiction again. And again, I'm not saying I haven't been enjoying writing Nil. I really love a lot of the stuff that I've written on it. I still genuinely do feel excited about that project, but right now when I look at that document, I get that tension, the pressure of the boulder, and as soon as I closed it all, it was like the boulder went away. It's just too tied into my black hole fears about my career right now. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means I'm just gonna take a little break from it and then get back to work on it. If I do, I'm just going to take my time and write the scenes that I'm excited about. I might even try writing like a monster, like Savannah suggested in her comment, and just, you know, write the scenes that seem fun to me, just to make it, you know, make it a fun process again, and not feel so forced. I might try writing something else for a little while, or I might just focus on my client work and take a break from this, because I need to like really realize that I am the only person putting this pressure on myself, and I need to knock it off. So that's where I am right now. Yeah, thanks for listening. This actually, I do feel better having vented about all of this, and let me know how things are going for you. Let me know what your black hole is if you have one. I really hope you don't. And I will see you guys next week with another video. Bye.